Pip is sitting at her desk. The document is open. The cursor is blinking. It's been blinking for 31 minutes. She knows exactly what she needs to write. It's not complicated. It's not even long. But her fingers won't move. It's like there's an invisible wall between her brain and her hands. And every second she stares at that blinking cursor, the wall gets thicker. Here's the worst part. There's an email in her inbox. It's been sitting there for 3 weeks. The reply would take 2 minutes, maybe less. But every single day, she opens her inbox, sees it, feels a rock drop into her stomach, and closes the tab. 2 minutes of work has become 3 weeks of dread. And the longer she waits, the heavier it gets. Not because the task got harder, because the shame around not doing it has been compounding like interest on a debt she never agreed to. If you've ever stared at a blank page for an hour and typed nothing, if you've ever had a task that would take minutes but avoided it for weeks, if you've ever told yourself, I'll do it at 4, watched the clock hit 4:03 and thought, well, I missed my window, guess I'll start at 5. This isn't laziness. This isn't a time management problem. And no, a new planner won't fix it. Your brain has classified that task as a threat, and right now, it's doing everything it can to keep you away from it. Dr. Tim Peichel, a psychology professor at Carleton University who spent over 20 years studying this, says it plainly. Procrastination is an emotion regulation problem, not a time management problem. You're not avoiding the task because you're lazy. You're avoiding the task because of how the task makes you feel. The anxiety, the boredom, the fear that you'll do it wrong, the pressure of it needing to be perfect. Those emotions hit your brain like a threat, and your brain does what brains do when they sense danger. It runs. A 2018 study published in Psychological Science actually put procrastinators into an fMRI scanner. What they found was that people who chronically procrastinate have a larger amygdala, the part of your brain that detects threats. When they were shown a task they needed to start, their amygdala lit up the same way it would if they were facing physical danger, and at the same time, the connection between their amygdala and their prefrontal cortex, the part that plans, decides, and overrides impulses, was weaker, meaning the alarm goes off louder, and the part of the brain that's supposed to say, calm down, it's just an email, can barely be heard. So your brain does the only thing it knows how to do. It avoids the threat. You open Instagram, you reorganize your desk, you watch one more video, and for a few minutes, the dread disappears. Your brain got its short-term mood repair, but the task is still there, and now it's heavier because you've added a fresh layer of guilt on top of it. This is the loop, and it shows up everywhere. Pip tells herself she'll start her report at 3 o'clock, sharp. At 3:03, she glances at the clock. 3 minutes passed. Her brain whispers, you missed the window, start at 4. At 4:07, same thing. Round numbers only, 5 o'clock. By 5, she's so drained from an entire day of not working, while stressing about not working, that she gives up entirely. She didn't waste the day because she was lazy. She wasted it waiting for a perfect moment that was never going to come. Because the right time was never about the clock. It was about the right feeling. And the right feeling never showed up because the task was always going to feel bad. Ziggy has a different version. He's overwhelmed. Deadlines are stacking up. His brain is overheating. So it does what it did in episode 13. It shuts down. But this time, instead of freezing in a car, he falls asleep. Not because he's tired, because his nervous system can't handle the weight, so it pulls the plug. He wakes up 40 minutes later. He doesn't feel rested. He feels worse, because now the deadlines are 40 minutes closer, and the guilt is twice as heavy. That's a guilt nap. It's not rest. It's his body crashing because the emotional load exceeded what his system could carry. And then there's Finn. Finn is productive all day. Meetings, deadlines, sharp work. But by 9 p.m., he's still awake, scrolling, watching videos he doesn't care about. It's 1 a.m. and he has to be up at 7, but he won't go to sleep. Not because he isn't tired, he's exhausted. But this, right now, at 1 in the morning, with no one asking him for anything, is the only time that feels like his. Psychologists call it revenge bedtime procrastination. He's sacrificing tomorrow's energy to steal back tonight's freedom, because his entire day belonged to everyone else, and his nervous system is demanding some autonomy, even if the price is his sleep, his health, and tomorrow's performance. And underneath all of this, Pip's clock watching, Ziggy's guilt naps, Finn's stolen nights, there's one belief that keeps the entire cycle spinning. Tomorrow, I'll be different. Bruno knows this voice. He's heard it every night for years. Tomorrow, I'll wake up at 6. Tomorrow, I'll have energy. Tomorrow, I'll finally be focused and disciplined and everything will click. But tomorrow comes, and tomorrow's Bruno is just as tired, just as anxious, and just as overwhelmed as today's Bruno. Because future you is not a superhero. Future you is the same person, waking up with the same brain, carrying the same unfinished tasks, plus the added weight of another broken promise. You are not handing your work to a better version of yourself. You are dumping your garbage on someone who is already drowning. So if you can't plan your way out of this, and you can't discipline your way out of this, and you can't wait for the right mood, what actually works? You stop trying to fix your schedule, and you start fixing what you feel. The first tool is the garbage draft. Perfectionism is the silent partner of procrastination. The reason Pip can't type that first sentence is because she's already imagining the finished version, and it needs to be flawless, so she freezes. The fix is to intentionally aim low. Write the worst possible version, an email full of typos, a report that's 3 ugly bullet points, 1 push-up instead of a workout. The bar isn't quality, the bar is existence. Because once something exists, no matter how bad, your brain shifts from I need to start to I need to fix this, and fixing feels 1,000 times easier than starting. There's even a name for this, the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain is wired to obsess over unfinished tasks, so give it something unfinished. Give it garbage. It'll want to clean it up, and that's how you trick yourself past the wall. The second tool is the forgiveness reset. Here's what normally happens after you procrastinate. You feel guilty, you call yourself lazy, you promise you'll do better tomorrow. And that guilt, that shame, becomes another brick in the wall you have to climb next time. A study by Peichel and Wohl at Carleton University tracked 119 students across 2 exams. The students who forgave themselves for procrastinating on the first exam procrastinated significantly less on the second one. Not because they became more disciplined, because they had less negative emotion to run from. The shame loop was broken. So the next time you catch yourself avoiding something, instead of "what's wrong with me?" try this out loud. I procrastinated. That's done. It doesn't make me a bad person. What's the smallest next step? 1 sentence. That's the reset. It won't feel natural. It'll feel like you're letting yourself off the hook, but you're not. You're removing the emotional barrier that's keeping you stuck. The third tool is the emotion label. When you're staring at that task and your whole body is screaming, "Not now," pause and ask yourself one question. What am I actually feeling right now? Not why can't I focus, not what's wrong with me, just what is the feeling? Is it anxiety, boredom, fear of being judged, fear of doing it wrong? Name it. Say it out loud if you can. I'm afraid this won't be good enough. Brain imaging research shows that when you put a word to an emotion, activity in the amygdala drops, the threat response weakens, your prefrontal cortex comes back online. You're not solving the emotion, you're just identifying it, and that tiny act of recognition is enough to loosen its grip so you can take 1 step forward. Here's your challenge this week. Think of the one thing you've been avoiding, not the biggest thing, the one that's been sitting in the back of your mind, whispering guilt at you for days. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Write the ugliest, most embarrassing first attempt at that thing you can possibly produce. Don't edit, don't fix, just make it exist. 5 minutes, 1 piece of garbage. Because you were never afraid of the task. You were afraid of how the task was going to make you feel. And now you know that fear has a name, it has a shape, and it has a way out. Pip finally typed her first sentence last Thursday. It was terrible. She hated every word, but her fingers were moving. And by the time she looked up, an hour had passed. She didn't wait for the right moment. She just started with the wrong one, and that was enough.